All right, the next speaker, this is someone, a last-minute addition. He's a documentary filmmaker on chemtrails. Anyone familiar with chemtrails? Aren't those contrails? Yeah. But there's a film he made called Frankenskies. It's on YouTube, but he also has it for sale in the lobby. So I'll go ahead and bring him on. Oh, actually, hold on. I need to insert his little slide here.
Can you all hear me fine? Cool.
Yeah,
I'll start talking while
I try and set this up.
So I like to start off these presentations that I give trying to introduce myself, trying to let people know that I'm a normal person that woke up to chemtrails and realized that no one knew about this, and so I devoted my entire existence to exposing this ongoing crime against humanity in our skies. But what we're going to end up discussing is the normalization and the official launch of chemtrails, which is something happening this year. So once I devoted my life to this, I'm so thankful to be here. I'm so thankful to be surrounded by so many awake, amazing faces. It's such a blessing for me to be up here speaking with you all. I'm usually doing grassroots activism, passing out flyers, and every third flyer someone says they aren't real, even though we're getting crisscross gridded right overhead. So it's really amazing to be around such great people. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. So 3 years ago, I devoted my life to chemtrails. Every single day of my life to chemtrails, to devoting it, to exposing it and bringing scrutiny and transparency to something that was ongoing, that nobody from my hometown outside of Washington, D.C. had ever heard of. My friends and family still think that maybe...
you know how to put it full screen?
Yeah, let's do full screen. Okay, so we've got 30 minutes. I've got 97 slides, and I'm going to get through it in 30 minutes, believe it or not. So this is a conference that I'm hosting. It's free. This is my third global conference, hosting it in Tucson this year. I moved down here from Vancouver, Canada, with my family. The reason being the official launch of chemtrails in Tucson this year. So it's being officially launched. We're going to go through it. We're going to get back to this in the slide, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself really quick. I grew up in Virginia. I went to Virginia Tech, got a bachelor's in marketing management, and I've worked so many different careers. I've worked in the restaurant industry. I don't look it, but I'm 37 years old. I've worked in finance, I've worked in mortgages, I've worked in the stock market. Okay, I've done so many different walks of life, and after I decided I wanted to get into film, moved to California, ended up in Northern California. I got my master's in business administration with a focus in strategic sustainability. Graduated top of my class with an MBA. Got a film degree. Got out of school, was a finance analyst, and finally I got grounded and worked on an organic farm. At the age of 34, I learned that potatoes grew potatoes. I never knew that. I had an MBA. I went to one of the best public schools in the country. Every time the potatoes started growing those things, I threw them away. You know, that was life, and I didn't even know it. That's how indoctrinated we are. So after working on the farm in Northern California, I firsthand witnessed weather manipulation. To me, being a statistics guy, I witnessed a statistical phenomenon, an anomaly. An anomaly. What I saw was very sparse air traffic every single day over this very rural farm that I was working on, growing potatoes and squash and corn primarily. Okay? What I witnessed on the edge of this gigantic storm pattern that was coming through, while we were in the midst of a catastrophic drought, I witnessed a statistically significant uptick of air traffic come on the edge of the storm. And not only was there a statistically significant uptick in air traffic, but also these planes had persistent linear cirrus cloud formations bellowing out of the back. The storm came, it didn't drop any rain, and I said, wait a second, maybe something's going on. Didn't wake up. I still wasn't awake, but then slowly but surely over the next year, someone said something to me. I started doing some research, and I realized, wow, there's a huge conspiracy going on in our skies. Nobody knows about it, and I'm going to devote my existence to it. Finally, I moved to Vancouver, Canada, got some traction with the activism. I ended up hosting conferences, making my film Frankenskies, which is available online, the director's cut for free, for donation, $15 out front, but let's just get going. So I woke up to chemtrails, devoted my life to it. Here I am. Remember this as a kid? No. Maybe I see a couple youngsters in here, but no. This wasn't going on when we were young. All right, so where am I going to look? I'm going to look right here. So we've got a normalization timeline. We've got the media, which we're going to talk about, which has been consolidated. The controlled media is going through saying we need to do something about global warming. Okay? Then the headlines say, geoengineering, it's a bad idea, but it's an option. Then there's this huge scientific study saying chemtrails are not real. A few months later, Obama signs off, and then Trump pushes it through that geoengineering is a good idea. Then the headlines say we're going to lose our stars. Then we're introduced new clouds. All the while, I come out with my film. And now geoengineering is announced now as a solution. So it's becoming normalized. This ongoing treason in our sky is becoming normalized as a solution to global warming. So what happened here? We're over here debating, oh, you should call it geoengineering. That's the professional term. No, it's chemtrails because it's not just geoengineering the climate. Well, guess what? The terminology has been completely hijacked. They frame the debate. They frame the terminology. They control the conversation. They think they're going to control the outcome. Okay? This is how the problem, reaction, solution paradigm works. It's a master-slave dialectic created by George Hegel at the turn of the century. Basically, we are in the dark. We're over here thinking we're smart, researching geoengineering. Guess what? There's all these other terms that have been unfolding. Spend some time, research the tropospheric aerosol program from 2001. Mind you, 9/11, we were really not paying attention to chemtrails in 2001. We were afraid of terrorists and all this other nonsense. Fear. There's the tropospheric aerosol program. 99-page document. You look this up, tropospheric aerosol program, Department of Energy.pdf. You're going to find the document that details all of it. It tells the budget. They spend $5 million in 2001 on not getting caught. They talk about their precursor gases, how they're going to mix what, where. They grid the skies over Nashville, Tennessee. They document it, and they say, this is how we're going to launch this full scale. It's greedy energy companies wanting to block out our sun so that they don't have to worry about solar power. Okay? They also get full spectrum dominance of everything, our air, our water, our weather, the air that we breathe, okay? Not just the air in the atmosphere, but the air that we breathe, and also who gets sunlight. So meanwhile, we're over here, geoengineering, chemtrails, and the stratospheric aerosol program has been released. This tropospheric aerosol program, stratospheric aerosol injections, SAI, through the CIA, the CARE program through NASA, charged aerosol release experiment, the solar radiation management program, SRM, all these other programs are being unleashed while we're over here bickering over, should we use the word chemtrails or not? Okay? Now, the consolidation of media is incredibly important. In 1983, 90% of the American media was owned by 50 companies. When we grew up, we had a trusted news source. We didn't trust the National Enquirer. We didn't entrust, sorry, slow down, still 97 slides, believe it or not. We didn't trust Fox News, but we had our trusted news source. Now it's been consolidated into 6 companies, all owned by a handful of families, all pushing the same story, which is they want complete control over us. Okay? 1977, we're on the verge of an ice age. Time magazine, trusted news source. Well, now Time has been bought, and they're now saying that global warming's on the horizon. So we've got these things called civil society actors. I recommend you look this up. This is very daunting, troubling information. Civil society is the aggregate of non-governmental organizations and institutions that manifest the interest and will of us, the citizens. This is plants in the activism movement, controlled opposition. Once I got into this and realized that 99% of the activists in this space were CIA, I realized that I had to spearhead this movement, be in charge, and make a movie that didn't suck. So Frankenskies is that. Please, please take the time, watch Frankenskies, get 5 minutes in, and you're going to know that's an amazing film. Okay, this is not just controlled opposition, it's also your news outlets. They are plants in the news stations pitching these stories to get the conversation, the narrative that they want, to get the outcome that they want. Okay? They had a meeting. Evidently, these civil society actors for geoengineering have an annual meeting in Washington, D.C. This is from a 2012 meeting where they meet. Okay? If you read this through, it's really troubling and scary. What they said is they suggested to shift the conversation in productive ways that they tell the world that geoengineering is a terrible choice. This is to get the conversation going. They tell the world it's a horrible idea. Society, one participant noted, society is lousy at strategy. Okay? Geoengineering could harm billions of people. Okay? They're telling us the truth, but just to get the conversation going so they can control the opposition, literally composing the narrative to control each side of the argument. Right now, they're controlling that side, but you'll see as we go, this year, 2018, is the year they want to launch it as a solution, so they're telling us we need it. If all else fails, man-made global cooling is scary, but may become necessary. I used to trust The Economist. This was one of my trusted news sources as a child. No longer do I trust any of the news sources out there. 2015, they're showing us a picture of chemtrails. They're going to later tell us chemtrails aren't real. If you ever bring up chemtrails, they'll scoff at you. But here's the solution that everybody needs. And it's scary, but may become necessary. So a publication came out. Okay, not just a publication, but a scientific article by David Keith, the primary solar geoengineer, who we're going to talk about him, who has the patents, who gets paid to do this, whose livelihood depends on this, and the debunker guy, metabunk.com, named Mick West. They came out with a fake science publication so that all of the media could run with it to program us. To program us first into thinking it hasn't been going on. All the while, they're planning on telling us this is the solution. So first, Forbes, Washington Post, chemtrails are not real. USA Today, chemtrails are not real. New York Times, chemtrails are not real. Every single publication on Earth, basically, ran with this. Chemtrails are not real in August of 2016. Okay? This made my blood boil. All right? But little did I know, it shifted everything for me. I thought my entire life was going to be telling people chemtrails existed. But instead, it has shifted into the government is telling us we need chemtrails, and they're launching it as a solution publicly. So now that the minds have been warped and the population is in the framework of chemtrails aren't real, that's a crazy conspiracy. Now we're being told this man has a solution to global warming, which we're not going to get into how much BS global warming is. I don't even want to go there because everybody's mental paradigms have been set up to global warming is real and the planet's heating so fast. Look, if you're going to talk about global warming, the elephant in the room is solar geoengineering. It's the releasing of nanoparticulate metallics in the atmosphere and superheating them with ionospheric heaters. It's HARP technology. These heaters are all over the world. When you see the ripples in the sky after they spray, they're superheating your atmosphere, superheating your sky. How are they going to talk about global warming of the atmosphere, the warming of the atmosphere, and not talk about these superheaters everywhere? This guy, everybody wants to know the who, what, why, where, when, how, before they can sink their teeth into it, build a mental construct, and actually maybe devote their life into exposing this and talking to their peers and being, shunned by their friends and family for talking about it. This is the who, David Keith. He believes it's time to move past lab experiments and into the real world. He says he can mimic a volcanic eruption. Okay? This is the real world. He gets his money from Bill Gates. Okay? Private, public donations. Not Bill Gates, Melinda Gates Foundation, but public donations straight from Bill Gates to David W. Keith. Both of which are part of this Royal Society, both of which are the patent holders on the technology. So as they spray us like bugs, they get paid. Can humans go from unintended global warming to climate by design? You see how the programming is working to convince the public this is something that's good through our once trusted media sources, the New York Times. Okay, so I used to tell everybody all about what chemtrails were and explaining it all into these various slides, but I've narrowed it down because we're talking about now. The whole point of the conjecture, the time for conjecture has completely passed. Now we're talking about something that is being launched, and they want to take away our sunshine. They want to take away our blue skies. This information is actively released. You guys read it. Okay, so cognitive dissonance. This is such a conspiracy so vast that when talking to the normal, not awake people out there that are slumbering in their comfort zones, they don't want to wake up. It is a kick in the face to wake up, oh my God, but the truth will set you free. The truth first will piss you off, but then it will set you free. And the mental conflict occurs when beliefs or assumptions contradicts their mental constructs. You have built mental constructs. You've been programmed since you came out of that womb. And people want to know, How could they do it, Matt? How could they do it? This doesn't just apply to chemtrails. It applies to all these different sectors of brainwashed people that are just doing their jobs. Indoctrination, compartmentalization, need-to-know basis. Feel free to use that whenever anybody says, how could they do that? Because they're indoctrinated, they're compartmentalized, and they're on a need-to-know basis. They're flying their drones, spraying us, being told that they're saving us. Okay, the irregular pattern of appearance, the number of trails you'll see all at once. When you're sitting outside in your backyard in rural America, okay, and you're sitting there and you've got blue skies for a week, and then all of a sudden a bunch of planes show up, that's an irregular pattern of appearance. Okay, that's something you can sink your teeth into. People want to say, oh, how do you know it's not regular air traffic? Well, the skies were blue for a week, and then all of a sudden these planes show up. You think everybody's zigzagging to Hawaii over my house all of a sudden? Okay, what's in chemtrails? Well, we can get really deep into this, but the Department of Energy plays such a big role here. I've had people at presentations that I've given stand up and say, we've got enough people here, I know where the trains are going, we need to stop the trains. The trains are going straight from coal burning power plants to Air Force bases. They take the soot from burning coal and it's full of your nanoparticulates. It's got your aluminum, your barium, your strontium, your cadmium, your titanium, all these things that are used in the weather modification patents. They take them straight from burning of coal. Whereas they should bury this toxic material and dispose of it, they're spraying it on us. Right when these grid patterns started showing up in our skies, witnessed by every person who looks up, okay, all of a sudden we've got aerotoxic syndrome. These flight attendants are breathing in toxic air. They don't know why they're suffering from heavy metal poisoning. Aerotoxic syndrome correlates to the spraying. Ted Gunderson, may he rest in peace, he worked for the FBI. He was FBI chief of LA and Dallas, and he got very vocal about this and then died mysteriously. Kylie Jenner, she didn't work for the FBI. She doesn't know how to spell responsible, but millions of people follow her. And she's asking the right questions. How come they show up and spray? Is this why the bees are dying? Why are some days normal with no planes and other days look like this? Don't tell me it's atmospheric pressure. There's no planes up there, okay? So, back when we had trusted media sources, in 1973, the scientific consensus was that the public was going to get to vote on who gets rain when, because weather modification was coming up to speed so much that they knew that farmers were going to be saying, hey, I want it to rain over here today. But all that got kiboshed once all the media got conglomerated or compressed. In my film Frankenskies, which is so important to empower and inspire people who have been trying to convince their friends and families for their entire lives, and no one's willing to listen to them. In the film Frankenskies, we start off with the chronological timeline from the 30s. We're showing you all these different projects and how the military sharpened their tools to get to where they're at. It's no longer just the military. It's no longer just the military-industrial complex. It's been meshed with educational system and the media, and it's all one big, I'm trying not to curse, it's all one big mesh of BS, right? But here in the 50s, they tested biological weapons on San Francisco. In 1957, they sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide on the population. In my film Frankenskies, we talk about the spraying of radioactive cadmium in St. Louis. The US Air Force sprayed St. Louis with radioactive cadmium to see how many children would die. Okay, this is our government. During Vietnam, rain was turned into a weapon of war. Everyone saw it, the entire world. So they got together and they banned weather as a weapon because they saw what the United States did. They said, wow, you flooded the Ho Chi Minh Trail doing what? Putting dry ice in the atmosphere? Dry ice is CO2, which is what they're blaming us for. So their weather modification program, it involves putting frozen carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to make it dump rain or make it not rain with other stuff. They spray silver to make it rain as well, but their best thing that they found was dry ice. And you'll learn about it in my film Frankenskies. They put carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, superheat the atmosphere, and then blame us for breathing. In this bill, Dennis Kucinich, 2001, this House of Representatives bill talking about weapons, he is told to remove the word chemtrails from it, and he does, but this bill passed. And that means that they know about the word, all the while trying to make us feel crazy for using the word. NASA, who I do not trust, the more you dig into NASA, you realize they're a bunch of liars. NASA has a budget of $52 million per day. They have multiple programs of spraying into the atmosphere publicly. One of them is the CARE program, Charged Aerosol Release Experiment. These clouds and this photo is from the NASA website. They spray barium, aluminum, and strontium in our skies to experiment. They use the atmosphere as a laboratory. That's a NASA quote. Okay, 1996, the US Air Force came out with a document, Owning the Weather by 2025. 1996, people started to see grid lines in their skies. The president of Iran, Ahmadinejad, one of the only countries left without a central bank, his country is under attack. They're experiencing record drought. They're experiencing temperatures that far exceed anywhere on Earth ever, if you look at the records that have been broke in Iran. And he publicly came out. He said, I thought this was complete insanity, but come to find out, my clouds are being drained right at the border before they come to my country. This is a few years ago. This is Hurricane Joaquin, okay? And the thing about this charged aerosol release experiment, solar radiation management, all these different agendas, it really plays into controlling the weather as well. One of them was the administering of black carbon soot during the Hurricane Atmospheric Modification Program, HAMP. They administered black carbon soot into the hurricane as it approached New Orleans, Hurricane Katrina. It exacerbated it. We know what happened. This is Hurricane Joaquin. Hurricane Joaquin is the first and only of its kind. Hurricane Joaquin had a directionalized arm branching off of it that sustained for 24 hours. It was termed, for this first time ever, all these new words keep coming out, by the way. It was termed, for the first time ever, an atmospheric river fire hose, where the hurricane did its thing, but the arm stayed there and attacked South Carolina and gave them 10,000-year-old floods. Hurricanes don't have arms. Okay, so here's what it looks like. They spray, then they zap. The HARP is a station in Alaska. This is how it first started out. It's an antenna array. It's Tesla technology, which has been hidden from us. But what they do with these antennas is they directionalize them in the atmosphere to a focal point. Okay? That focal point just happened to have nanoparticulate aluminum, barium, strontium. These nanoparticulate metallics, they're superheated with frequency, and that's how you create high pressure bubbles. That's how you create drought in California. That's how you steer jet streams. These have now been simplified into smaller technologies, and they're deployed all over the world, and they're mobile. Tesla. He says if we can control the resonant system electronically, we can directly control the entire mental system of humankind. Okay? And he's completely right. While they're spraying us with these nanoparticulates and zapping them with frequencies, they're also trying to get control of the frequency on the ground with this release of 5G, which is a whole other presentation. Okay? Arizona is the first state to go completely 5G. That's all rolling out while Arizona is the first state to launch chemtrails. Okay, it's all connected. Once you control the frequencies, you can control those nanoparticulates from just falling to the ground. You can keep them in our air so that we can breathe them in, and they can control the frequencies in which we live. Now, the patents tell the story. For those of you that are still in denial, everyone raise their hand, so it's amazing. But those of you that are going to be listening and watching this, and you want to sink your teeth into something, people create patents when they have the technology and they don't want people to steal it. So when you see these planes that look like they're going up and down, like from the ground up, they are. They've perfected their rocket releasing systems to look like a drone, like a glider, but these are barium plumes being released over our heads. So 1974, we have rockets having barium release system to create ions in the upper atmosphere. 1975, powder contrail generation patents. 1991, creation of artificial ionization clouds above the Earth. 1991, stratospheric seeding for reduction of global warming, 1991. 2009, aluminum-resistant genetics. Now, why are they coming out with aluminum-resistant genetics? It's because we're getting sprayed with heavy metals, especially the aluminum. Last year at my second summit, my second conference that I hosted in Portland, I had an ex-U.S. Air Force weatherman, U.S. Department of Agriculture worker, Alan Buckman. He studies microbiology. His thing that he studies are lichen. Lichen get their nutrients from breathing air, okay? 1996, when the U.S. Air Force came out with their paper, Owning the Weather by 2025, and everyone started seeing the grid lines in the sky, the lichen started breathing heavy metals all day long. The lichen, instead of breathing and getting their nutrients from the air, they're just being full of aluminum. So you really look into this, we're being bombarded with aluminum. That's why it's really important to not get the fluoride in our system. The fluoride escorts the aluminum past your blood-brain barrier into your brain. The aluminum doesn't go past the blood-brain barrier on its own. But EMF will make your blood-brain barrier permeable. 5G, it's all part of the plan. It's 2010, enhanced aerial delivery systems for large quantities of fluids and powders out of planes. The patents just go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Okay? Now, in 2008, 2009, we saw an exponential spike in patents and patent applications. Okay? They're calling it the geoengineering patent land grab. Now, this is really daunting information. Last year, this group of 20 scientists, one of them being this David W. Keith, okay, this Harvard professor who wants to block out our sun, they met and they claimed that they have exclusive rights to saving the planet. Okay? They claim that there's so many patents coming out that they have exclusivity to spraying us and saving it because they have the technology, nobody understands their tech, and they don't have to go through the legal process anymore. Social engineering all day long, the normalization through media and Hollywood, the kids are being programmed, the adults are being programmed, we're all being programmed to think that this is normal. Okay? But guess what? It's normal now. They came out and say that chemtrails are officially a cloud. So before they decided to launch full-scale deployment, which they're calling a Mount Pinatubo effect, they want to mimic a volcanic eruption and spray everywhere on Earth all at once. Before they go and do that, this is 1 year ago, before they go and do that, they have to come out and tell us that these clouds exist and have existed so that they don't get in trouble for decades of treason. So here we go, the bad idea that we need. Geoengineering, the bad idea that we need to stop climate change. We can mimic a volcano. We can mimic an eruption by spraying sulfuric acid into the atmosphere. So here's the deal. First, they're telling us that they're going to spray sulfur in the atmosphere, sulfuric acid. Then they say, oh, that doesn't work so well. Our research says that it doesn't work as good as maybe diamonds. Then they say, we can reflect sunlight with diamonds. This is all real. I'm not making this up. I wish I was. So they say they're going to spray us with diamonds. Then they say, oh, wait, diamonds are really expensive. Then they say, guess what? We're going to spray aluminum. We think it's going to work really well. We can block out your sun. You're welcome. So they set the stage through fears to normalize it. They say it's initially resisted. It's complicated. Who should do it? What are the consequences? And it's cheap. They realize that aluminum is way cheaper than diamonds. They actually can get aluminum from burning coal. And here we go, David W. Keith, who claims he has no conflict of interest. He says he's got a cheap but dangerous solution. But don't worry, chemtrails are bullshit. So, they are just trying to completely confuse us. We've got all these articles, annoyed scientists published study, chemtrails are a conspiracy. Scientists develop aerosols to relieve global warming. Harvard science identify an aerosol that can cool the planet. So during this big slew of information, they came out and said, we've got calcite. Calcite's going to save you. We're going to spray calcite in the atmosphere. Well, guess what? Calcite falls from the air really quickly. But nanoparticulate aluminum, it doesn't. But we're going to lose our stars. We're going to lose our moon. They don't really bother telling us we're going to lose our blue skies or our sun quite yet because this is a normalization process. It's called spoon feeding it to the public. So first we need to be propagandized and completely indoctrinated and compartmentalized on a need-to-know basis. And then finally they'll tell us we're going to take away your sun too, by the way. But first, the headlines. You're going to lose your sky. Astronomers are going to be upset. Obama, he's playing God. He promotes geoengineering to fight climate change. So they blame Obama just as he's leaving. Trump presidency opens door to planet-hacking geoengineering experiments. Geoengineering gets the green light from federal scientists January of last year. You see what the propaganda programming machine is doing to the American or the world public? It's convincing them that they've got this amazing idea. From the Oval Office to a neighborhood near you. I'm on Facebook. I totally, I at first was posting like 500 times a day, and then I started getting censored once I got up to 26,000 followers and got my movie out. But I still hope that you guys can follow me and be my friend on Facebook. Aerosols to protect the Earth. We're going to get sprayed in the atmosphere next year, but scientists warn it could be catastrophic. This video is something else. This video is sampled in my film, and it's unreal. There's 12 new clouds. They updated the cloud atlas. Each of those 12 new clouds are variations of ionospheric heating and chemtrails. Every one of them. But the public says, and I've met someone doing this grassroots activism, passing out the flyers, oh no, I saw those clouds are real. They're real? What do you mean? No, they're in the atlas. They're official. Are we about to be told chemtrails are real? Harvard says emissions from planes could save the Earth. So-called chemtrails. So they're still trash talking the conspiracy theorists. This is not a theory anymore. Okay? They're normalizing it and legitimizing it all in this really short time frame for humanity to take control of everything. 11 new clouds, including vapor trails. Conspiracy theory, no more. Homo mutatus. I posted this Homo mutatus online, and someone said, am I running out of time already? No, a little bit. Okay, someone was asking me, is this Homo mutatus? Did you make that up? And no, that's a real cloud name. It's called, Homo mutatus means man-made, literally. Okay, $20 million, we're going to block out your sun. You're welcome. Largest geoengineering experiment ever. These are the new clouds, some of them. Rainbow clouds, fire rainbows, noctilucent clouds, circumhorizontal arcs, rare phenomenon. The circumhorizontal arc only happens at certain 58, the sun has to be an elevation of 58 degrees or greater. There must be high altitude cirrus clouds with plate-shaped ice crystals. Sunlight has to enter the ice at a specific angle. This is all nanoparticulate metallics being sprayed, but legitimized by our controlled media. And again, it just happens all day long. Okay, they have a plan. They want to dim out our sun, okay? So already they're talking about governance. Already they have a governance body in place. Already they've met and established the solar geoengineering governance regime, a self-proclaimed regime. They claim they have exclusive rights to saving the planet. They just happen to be the patent holders on the technology, but they say that everybody on Earth has to adapt this technology, pay them for the patents as they spray the planet, and don't worry, only billions of people will die. And here's an example of our now, okay, there's been a complete and total attack on discernment, all right? So we've woken up. We can look at things through our new lens and be like, wow, that is such a mindfuck. I can't believe that they're trying to tell us through Eddy.net. This website probably didn't even exist last week, but Eddy.net, good old trusted Eddy.net, is telling us that global warming is unstoppable without geoengineering. They reference some study that was their own study. It just clicks them back to a link from like last week. And what the thing about the youth is they don't know how to discern. They weren't there on 9/11. They get every little bit of the information there. Well, there's two sides to it. I don't know what to think. And this scrolls across their timeline on their social media. And they're programmed. So then when I approach them and I'm like, no, they're spraying us. Are you kidding me? They're like, no. Eddy.net says it's a must. We have to have it. And look at the photo that they use. We can engineer our way out of global warming. March 8th, 2018, 2 days ago. Does this look like a planet that you want to live on? No. Thank you. So they want full-scale deployment. They want to mimic a volcanic eruption. Mount Pinatubo erupted 1991 in the Philippines. 1991, this volcanic ash went in the atmosphere so much that it shrouded the entire Earth with sulfuric dust. And according to science, the global mean temperature declined 1 degree Celsius. So they are terming it a Mount Pinatubo effect. They want to do a Mount Pinatubo effect. And this is in the headlines. And people go, oh, Mount Pinatubo effect. Oh, that doesn't sound too bad. That sounds pretty natural. No, they're going to spray nanoparticulate aluminum in your skies everywhere, all at once, all the time. No more blue skies. Once we start, we can't stop. This is the new headline. Once we start, we can't stop. This is from this year, January 22nd. So they're telling us, once we get going, we can't stop. So we warned you. We're going to keep going. We're not going to stop, but we warned you. But it's very dangerous. But we might have to do it anyways because, you know, we have the patents and we're going to get paid from doing it, from controlling who gets sunlight. Here's the thing. When they control it, they'll control who gets sunlight. So, oh, you've got enough money, you want it to be sunny on your wedding day? Okay, you can pay us $100,000 and clear the sky. But if you don't have the dough, you're never going to get sunlight ever again. But if we start, we can't stop. Solar shield could save us, but its sudden collapse will doom the planet. So if we start, we can't stop. Oh, by the way, we started like 20 years ago. David Keith, everybody wants to know the Who. This is your boogeyman. You want to lose some sleep at night? This is the guy. He says we're just going to be free riding on our grandkids. This is a quote from this scumbag patent holder. He is their front man. He's the one pushing this idea. He says if we turn down the sun a little bit, that brings the Earth's energy more into balance. This is an economist propaganda video that has gone viral. I put it on my Facebook, got 100,000 views because people are so ashamed that this is from their once trusted news source, telling them that this guy is going to be spraying your skies in Tucson, Arizona this year. This guy. It's official. We're going to spray the sky as an experiment. Okay? The Trump administration is pushing it forward. Okay? They say that it violates UN decisions. They say that it's just an experiment, but they also say if the experiment is successful, they're going to do full-scale deployment and do their Mount Pinatubo effect everywhere. I moved from Canada to Arizona to be here for this experiment, to protest this experiment. This is what they want to do. They're going to have their little balloon. They're going to be feeding it from the ground with their chemicals. The balloon is going to hover over Tucson and spray nanoparticulate metallics. First, they're going to test diamonds. Then they're going to do sulfur. Guess what? The aluminum is going to be the thing that works. You heard it here first. I'm just kidding. It's really so mind-boggling that they're walking the public through it and saying, oh, we're going to try the diamonds now. Oh, no, the diamonds are expensive. It's completely shameful, and all of these people need to be tried for crimes against humanity. So please check out stopgeoengineeringtucson.com. It talks about the spraying. It's got resources. It has my crowdfund on there. Don't worry, no matter how much I raise, the event is going to happen, no matter what. We're also going to have a protest the next day. We're going to go to the media outlets in Tucson. We're going to have signs that say we do not consent. We're going to have signs that say we demand unbiased media coverage. But first and foremost, May 12th, the conference, we're going to be bringing in people from all over the world. Actualactivist.com, this is my baby. I'm going to be turning this into a social media platform this year. Talks about all of it, GMO, fluoride, chemtrails, all of it. I also have a daily truth that I put on there to get people interactive. This is going to be the social media platform that we have that's not censored. This is going to be where we can actually have truth. So it all began here. In Vancouver, I had my first conference, my first global summit. And I've been hosting numerous events since then. My third global conference is coming up. Also, Frankenskies. Please check it out. If you have $15 and you want the recent copy of the film, I've got the DVDs, but you can visit it online. Please share it with your friends and family. It's so important that this documentary gets around before they start their experiment, at least. And here we are. Please come on May 12th, and I'm almost done. So, the gravity of the situation. I know you all are realizing how important this is, but let's just really put this into perspective. Our ancestors, our bloodline, our entire history of who we are as our DNA, they fought. If you want to think back, your great, somebody fought and died for you. Okay? They shed their blood to give you the freedoms that we have today. We cannot let a very small group of people take control of the future of humanity I personally will not be able to look any children in the eyes when they ask what happened to the blue skies if I haven't stopped it. Okay? I want to be able to do everything that I possibly can to ensure a safe future for humanity. Think about the future of this planet with no blue skies. You saw that blue picture of a planet that's been completely shrouded with metallics for decades? We do not want this. Okay, I didn't make up the rules, but somehow our silence is now our consent. There's invisible contracts, I don't know what it is, but we need to tell the world that we do not consent, and this is our opportunity to do so. So please join me, and please tell people this is going on. This is really, really important, and I love you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right.